Am I the asshole for getting pissed at my wife about her health issues she won't address? My wife suffers from something like really high acid reflux, and basically 1-2 nights a week she'll wake up in the middle of the night and puke for like half an hour. Sometimes there's an excuse like, "Oh, we had dinner too late," or, "We ate too much," or, "I had a drink." Other times there's no reason for it. The thing is, my wife is a nurse and basically refuses to see a doctor because she's convinced they won't do anything except put her on some over-the-counter medicine. So we go out and buy this medicine that's supposed to be taken daily, and my wife just doesn't take it. If that's not frustrating enough, when she does puke she almost actively makes sure she wakes me up doing it, by using the bathroom attached to our bedroom. We have 3 bathrooms. And while she pukes she loudly yells stuff like, "Oh no. Oh God, this is terrible. Oh wee." And I suffer from insomnia from my time in the army, so when I wake up I really struggle to fall back asleep. And I work 6 days a week and she works 2. Last night we got into a fight because she said I'm no longer supportive or sensitive to her issues like I used to be, because I didn't get all uppity and concerned about her, and I'm like, why would I when you do this constantly and do nothing about it? Not the asshole. Your wife has an issue, and instead of solving the issue she's relying on you to provide comfort and attention, likely because it appears that's easier than solving the issue. But she's sucking you into her pity party, and that's not cool or healthy. Insist she go to a doctor. Remind her that chronic acid reflux can tear your throat up and cause significant health problems down the line, as well as being signifiers for other underlying conditions. Even if they prescribe something OTC, it's better to make sure. Not the asshole. She is refusing to seek solutions for her medical problem, and you are being punished for it. It is really difficult to fuss over someone for a long period of time when they refuse to resolve the issue in the first place. Especially when it messes with your sleep. And the yelling while she is puking. What the heck? I would be super pissed if I was woken up every week to an adult screaming about throwing up. Not the asshole. As a nurse, would she tell someone with recurring acid reflux to not go to the doctor for it because they won't do anything anyways? Probably not. So she's not taking advice she'd give to others. And she's also not being sensitive to your issues. Knowing you have insomnia, she could try to stay quieter or go to another bathroom. I suffer from insomnia and my fiancé is very careful if he gets out of bed before I wake up to stay as quiet as possible. And you've clearly tried to get her to take care of it and she refuses, so at this point it's her problem. Not the asshole. She is allowed sympathy and support as long as she is supporting herself. Currently she is ignoring any potential fixes and instead just wanting sympathy. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't mean this in a horrible way, but she is a nurse and so not qualified to know anything about what is wrong with her or how medication could help. Hell, there is a chance she has cancer considering the symptoms. My late wife had acid flux also. Bothered her 3-4 times a week. Turned out it was ARVD. Arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysplasia. It is a disease in the heart where it stops working. I came home and found her dead one night from work. It has been over 20 years, but it still bothers me because I was an EMT at the place I worked at and didn't see it. Go get her heart checked. Now. Oh, not the asshole. Not the asshole. She either needs to talk to the doctor or find a better way to cope. I kind of wonder if she isn't making herself sick on purpose. There's just something off here. Not the asshole. And furthermore, I can't understand the behavior. When I was pregnant I was sick morning, noon and night for 4.5 months, and besides sometimes comedically bantering, "You did this to me." At my husband I tried my best to not make it his problem because honestly what can someone else do? Except for maybe fetch some water. Also I fully did not want him to see me puke. Once I vommed so hard I pissed myself. Really wouldn't have wanted my husband to see that. Not the asshole. Tell her that you don't see the reason to be sensitive about something she doesn't want to find a treatment to. From my experience having a similar issues, the doctor really did nothing but prescribe over-the-counter drugs which didn't work, until finally after 7 years they finally did something which for the most part worked, and she probably can't make it to the other bathrooms in time. And also it is terrible and it does hurt to throw up that way and for that long. She should see a doctor, but she probably has had past experiences of them ignoring her problems and saying it's no big deal. Not the asshole. Get pissed and force her to see a doctor immediately. My wife had what our small-town doc thought was acid reflux for almost a year. Similar symptoms, frequent vomiting, etc. And excuses, oh the food was too spicy or the wine didn't agree with her. Quite suddenly she became unable to keep most foods down, like within the span of 2 weeks. Even water would come back up. We got an APPT with a specialist in the closest city and it turned out she had huge gallstones and needed immediate surgery. We left the office, went across the street to the hospital and she was in surgery in less than 2 hours. Your wife may be a nurse but she's not a doctor, much less a specialist. Get her in quickly before she suffers dire consequences. Not the asshole. I had similar symptoms and it turned out to be gallstones. Had to have surgery to have my gallbladder removed. Yay, it could be acid reflux, but it could also be a lot of other things. Your wife needs to get to a doctor and get this checked out. Not the asshole. Your wife needs to get to the bottom of this. I would ask her what would she tell a friend who asked her why she was randomly being sick with no other symptoms. I'm assuming here this has been ongoing for a considerable length of time and she not pregnant. Also acid, bile is meant to stay in the stomach continuously. Having that in other spots is gonna cause its own long-term issues I would guess. Not the asshole, as long as your conversation with her wasn't immediately after, during a sickness event. She is being both inconsiderate and negligent. Not the asshole. Yay, the line between supportive and being an enabler should not be crossed. Being supportive is trying to get her to take her medicine or have an OGD if she hasn't had one. I have GERD and if I tried this shit with my girlfriend, she would call me a whiny bitch and force feed me Nexium. If she wants some non-medical things to try, tell her to sleep with an extra pillow under her head and avoid lying flat too soon after eating. But yay, you are not the ass. In addition to being inconsiderate to you, she's damaging her body. Vomiting that often over a long period of time can seriously damage her esophagus and teeth. She needs to grow up and get serious about treating it. I have to add, her reluctance to go to a doctor isn't weird. Women and pain are not taken as serious by doctors as men are with pain. Opening parenthesis. My mum and brother have the same issue. My mum got tests done and found out she has an hiatal hernia. Could it be that? Medication, surgery and/or losing weight is what they tend to recommend. Not the asshole. You are not an asshole at all. Not only is it worrying, because so much acid could potentially harm her esophagus too much. My granddad died from esophagus cancer, but also it's affecting your sleep. Both your mental and physical well-being are also at play here. Hers too. She's being an asshole to herself and to you. Not the asshole. Tell her to get a wedge for sleeping, but all that vomiting is eroding her esophagus. She might need an upper endoscopy to make sure she is not having changes severe enough to cause cancer cells to take hold. I have acid reflux and live off Tums, but I only vomit once every couple of years. Reflux can also cause lung damage. She needs to go to a doctor and be honest with that doctor about the severity. Your wife is being utterly selfish and inconsiderate. I have severe acid reflux and if I didn't take my medication daily I'd be in the same position as your wife. Know what I do? I take my damn tablet every day and get on with my life. Not the asshole. Your wife seems to be thriving on the attention though, so look out for her escalating her symptoms, creating new ones or being even more dramatic. You've cut off her supply. Not the asshole. She's aware of her health issues and refuses to do anything about it. Sympathy should be reserved to the people trying to solve the issues they have, not the ones who choose to do nothing about it. She doesn't have an eating disorder, does she? She's a nurse and knows the risks, but she deliberately being dodgy regarding treatment and her reaction are attention-seeking. Some minor flags there face with monocle. Not the asshole. If she is heavy drinker, she needs to go see a gastroenterologist like a year ago. This is not normal. She is a nurse but only works 2 days a week? A real nurse? Not the asshole. Can't stand when people complain about problems that could possibly be easily fixed if they just put in minimal effort. Also, I understand she's a nurse and probably has more medical knowledge than the average person, but a gastroenterologist also has way more knowledge regarding the digestive system than she does, and seeing a gastroenterologist could help. This sounds like a pretty serious issue. Not to mention repeated vomiting can cause issues with your teeth and esophagus, commonly seen in bulimia. It's possible she could need an endoscopy to figure out the issue. Not the asshole. She's a nurse and she knows she should see a doctor about this. Why she refuses is very strange. Maybe she enjoys the early morning barf show, waking you up and getting a ton of sympathy and attention from you. However, you seem to have run out of the patience to deal with this after it's gone on so long. You need to ask her to use another bathroom and go see a doctor, or you can sleep in another bedroom as far from the master bathroom as possible. I totally agree she needs more medical intervention. In the meantime, and you sleep elsewhere? I'd use another bathroom rather than annoy my partner at night this way. She wants you to hear and feel sorry for her. Not the asshole. And info. Does she have a fear of the doctor? I'm on a medication that she would probably go on, and it's definitely not over the counter, and it came with a bunch of dietary restrictions. I'm a nurse who's also got incredibly bad acid reflux, and to be honest, I probably would do the same thing as your wife does. I know fully well all they'd give me is peptic liquid, and it simply doesn't work for the way I run. Chances are the doctors won't actually listen to her when she wants to do something about it. Check the gallbladder. I had similar issues that got worse over time. From every once in a while to weekly. Once removed 9 years ago, not an issue since. Not the asshole. She needs to take her medicine. She is a super asshole for going out of her way to wake you up. I think you both need therapy. She's obviously not getting what she needs from you and is acting out because of it. Not the asshole. I have the exact same issue as your wife. Reading your post was almost as though my wife had wrote it about me, lol. I can speak to all her excuses as well and can tell you those are all legitimate contributing factors. I've been to the doctor several times about it with really no help, so she's not entirely wrong. I'd be curious to know if she also has mysterious continual side pain, discomfort? Just heads up, I had a friend who legit the same exact thing but was not taking the meds because he developed an eating disorder but convinced himself that it was reflux. He threw up every night and every morning for a year and dropped like 60 pounds. Make sure your wife hasn't developed this issue and is preforming when she is throwing up to make it seem like she hates it, and clearly it's just the reflux. Not the asshole. This is insane. If she is a nurse, she has to know that vomiting like this causes esophageal issues, ulcers, vitamin deficiency, teeth erosion, etc. It is not different than what bulimia does to the body. On the volume, I am not sure if she is trying to wake you so that you can be miserable with her. Or if she is like me. No matter how hard I try, I cannot keep quiet. I sound like a dying pterodactyl. Can you calmly discuss it? Maybe Google what happens with constant vomiting, etc. Not the asshole. Being supportive is not the same as being enabling. Doing and saying things that help her get help is supportive. Accompanying her to the doctor if she's nervous, helping her follow medical advice, joining her in recommended diet changes, etc. are all supportive. Not the asshole. She's both refusing to handle her problem and making it your problem. Sounds like she's no longer sympathetic to your issues. Not the asshole. You've made attempts to get her help, or tried to have her get herself some help. She is using it as a way to get sympathy from you, but you're probably exhausted from her pulling this stunt. If she was truly interested in getting help, she would have. She's a freaking nurse. Surely she knows or works with one doctor who could prescribe something for her, but that would likely have to be taken on a regular basis, the same as the OTC products you found. Could she be making it up to cover for an eating disorder? Not the asshole. Your wife needs to stop acting like a child and get herself an appointment with the doctor. For all either of you know, it could be something a lot more serious. And even if it's not, her refusing to seek treatment is affecting you. Not the asshole. You know that whole thing how sometimes when people vent they don't want constructive conversation, they just want you to listen? That shit ain't this. She could give herself some sort of esophageal cancer if she lets this go, so she needs to take the advice and stop making this some weird victimhood thing. Edit. Typo. Ask her if she actually wants to develop Barrett's esophagus, or to lose her teeth like people with bulimia do. That might wake her up a bit to the damage she's doing to herself. Oh, and not the asshole. I also have bad acid reflux, it's such a burden. I seriously eat Tums like they're candy because I always forget to take any of the meds I buy. Your wife narrating her puking episode sounds very irritating, especially since you're such a light sleeper. The best case scenario, in my opinion, is to change your diet, eliminate the bad food she is eating or cut way back on those foods. Info. Has her gallbladder been checked? My old college roommate and I both had to have ours taken out. This sounds super similar to our problems. She's literally a nurse, she should know better. Anyone else think she's making herself throw up? Like Munchausen's or something? I'm going to preface this with a not the asshole. Info though. How often do y'all just spend time together? What she's doing is weird, but does she ever get comfort or contact from you in other ways throughout the day? None of this changes my vote, but it's definitely throwing some orange flags for me that she's feeling neglected, and this was the only time she felt she was receiving affection and now doesn't know how to handle you being frustrated instead. As someone who had to move past a thing that sounds frighteningly similar, sit down with her and ask if she needs anything or if there's something else wrong. Not the asshole. Please get your wife to a doctor. I had a friend recently die from esophageal cancer that most likely resulted from years of acid reflux. My friend was only 29 and otherwise healthy before his diagnosis. Maybe try sleeping in a different room in the meantime? Just so she gets the message that you're not going to put up with her behavior. It's just childish and irresponsible that she's not taking care of herself. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I'm sure your wife has a health issue, but it also seems like she's using it to seek attention. Not the asshole. Do you have other bedrooms? Not the asshole. My father had something very similar. Went to the doctor, esophageal cancer.